inside this best of 3. It's just started off, like I said, I promised you guys, it's early games PvZ, you've missed nothing. It's all good. It's just a bit of pro harass on that drone line, and a pretty standard opening hatch gas ball here from Crimson, and economic build from Pezz as well.
Yep. Should be a cool one. Crimson, again, really consistent dude, but I feel like lately he's kind of plateaued a little bit. Like he's had a bit of trouble sort of kicking it to the next level in terms of gameplay. So I'm really interested to see what he's looking like in this season. Obviously, round of 16 is no surprise for him, but just seeing how much further he goes. I do kind of pick him to get out of the group here. But Pezz is a tricky opponent. He's got 1,000,001 builds up his sleeve. So I don't know how to call this match.
Well, so far it's a pretty standard opening for Pezz. The only slight non-standard thing is that he's getting a Stalker out. Now, that actually is pretty regular. But a lot of Protosses will like prioritize having a couple Adepts out on the map because a pair of Adepts one-shot drones, as I'm sure you've seen in your ladder game set. There's Adepts coming on up there and making your economy building pancakes, or the drone as it's known to the layman. They get one shot by an Adept clap, the Adapt clap as it's called by Tastes. The Adapt clap. What up, puppy? Who's a good doggo? Who's a good boy?
So cute.
I like what Blizzard did, by the way. You actually can't kill the doggos.
Well, as it should be.
You can't kill. I mean, exactly. That would just be messed up. All kinds of messed up.
We're all about peace in this game.
Especially
so the first target unit's out here. And he's going to get rid of that Overlord before anything else. There's only a couple more that he could possibly pick off on the map, but he can get a lot of scouting information from that just to begin with. And then when his friends join him up there in the sky, he can start picking at drones. Maybe get a queen if he's lucky. So Crimson is already starting to get some defenses against these target units.
Certainly is. Sport's going on down to handle multiple Phoenixes. Just the one's not a problem. That second Stargate means that there's going to be a lot of Phoenixes really, really quick. I don't know if you noticed that, but the Phoenixes build real fast. You can get a lot of Phoenixes out very, very quickly. So this is pretty annoying for Crimson to have to deal with. Usually if there's this many, one Spore Crawler per base with one Queen is not enough.
Yeah, and not being able to scout that there is a second Stargate coming up also kind of sucks, because he can sit there and bank Phoenixes for a while and then come in and he's got 50 of them and you're like, oh my god, I just actually have nothing that can clear this up, because they can pick everything up. Even if you start getting to Hydras, there's a big danger zone while those Hydras are actually producing, because on their own they kind of suck, so you have to wait till they actually manage to get together. So Phoenixes have endless possibilities for damage, and I'm sure Pezz is going to find a few juicy kills here momentarily as he starts to head out.
Yeah, we're just seeing that Roach Warren go down, lair halfway done for Crimson. He sort of, it looks like he's kind of set up for like an anti-ground attack. Like he maybe hasn't put 2 and 2 together here. Well, he's going to now as these Phoenixes fly over his creep. Ooh. They're diving for that drone line.
Unfortunately, this Queen is going to get bopped pretty hard. More spores coming down immediately. Crimson realizing this is not too great for him. He's going to lose a lot of drones here. Of course, with a high number of Phoenixes, you can just tank those spores for a minute while you get some more kills. And he doesn't even lose one.
Yeah, damn. That's a lot of damage there from Pezz's opening. This really feels like Crimson just wasn't ready for it. You know, he's making Roaches right now, and Roaches are a great, powerful early game unit. Like, they're great against Archon drops, they're great against Balls of Adepts, they're great against charge lots, but not great against Phoenixes. These Queens are, though. I actually think Crimson, if I was him, you know what I'd do, Zepph? I'd drop the Worm from down under.
Oh, yeah?
It's tough to get vision of the base, but like just even putting a Ling like in front of the natural and just using the Ling for vision and getting that Worm up behind the wall in. Stuff like that.
Yeah, my concern would be, though, where can you put the Worm that he's not going to see it and know to predict it? Because I think it's kind of hard to hide it when they've got Phoenixes swooping all over your mineral lines. But you know what? You called it. He heard you.
Yes, God, I am such a good Zerg player that never plays Zerg. This is going to be great.
Yeah. He's moving in here. Not a lot on the ground. The Warp Prism actually sliding out here just past these Roaches as well. He's going to be able to clean up this ground stuff, so the Phoenixes have to come home and help pick off these Roaches. And the Worm's actually finishing up at home, so he may very well pop that down right in front. And now Pezz knows what's coming.
Oh, that Ravager egg stopping these Zealots from getting up there. So, yeah, the Phoenixes can't lift up that Worm. Crimson pops it out, says, drop this. He's going to unload all these Queens with all their energy. They can transfuse their sisters while they're held up in Graviton. But it doesn't actually... Oh, that's a mistake from Crimson. He needs these Queens to stay alive. What? I'm pretty sure you can transfuse things that are up in the Graviton lift, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But even so, he doesn't have much on the ground. The Queens alone are not enough to hold the fort here. He needed more roaches, and I think maybe the timing was just a little bit off with the reinforcements. Maybe he didn't quite plan to lose all those initial roaches before the Worm got up. Because this is getting shut down pretty hard. The third base is going to get up. And Crimson spent a fair few dollars on that little attack.
Yeah, certainly. Damn. Crimson taking a pretty bad fight there at the front. I mean, he is rather committed. When you go for the Nidus Worm here, it's 50 minerals and 50 gas, but also costs money to put it down, and he spent a lot of units there, so he's kind of committed to try and make something aggressive work here. He can't just sit back and hope for the best. Taking a fight against this army for the Protoss is going to be tough as well. He's trying to just split the attention of Pezz here, keep him at home, and Pezz isn't taking the bait. He's sending his ground army and these Phoenixes just further forward here.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Archon's adding a fair bit of beef here. The Queen's doing their best, but that's just so many Phoenixes in the sky, and they can lift infinite amounts of Zerg. And with the War Prism on the front lines, more Archons coming in. I think Crimson is going to have to tap out very shortly.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. He's just taken us so much damage. The opening from Pezz sort of forced his hand for that Nidus play. And even though, you know, Pezz wasn't ready at home, he didn't have, like, charge lots, he just had some slow Zealots. It just seemed like he managed to lift all the Queens up, which was the scary part of the battle, and the Roaches kind of, half of them died before they even managed to, you know, be the wall between the Queens and the ground army of Pezz.
Yeah, the Ravager block and the wall was really sick, but he just didn't quite have enough to make it happen. Maybe if all those forces could have been together, maybe if he had waited a second, I'm not sure what the answer was there, but didn't quite work out, and now he's pinned back into his natural base while Pezz warps in right in the front here, picking off whatever comes out.
Yeah, this just looks like a matter of time here. The writing is certainly on the wall for Crimson. He's trying his best with Roaches. Drones have been pulled as well. That's never a good sign for the Zerg when the drones are part of the fighting force. It's not all the drones, though. It's just like a handful of drones. Might be just boxing as whatever he can here and hoping for the best. But nah, these Archons and Chargelets, they are off creep, and they are just poking. And as you know, more time goes forward, these Archons get more and more shields back. There's even a Prism for those Archons to be juggled in for Pezz. The Phoenixes are still alive as well, although he loses one on a Spore Crawler there. Yeah, I think this is going to be a super hard hold for Crimson.
Yeah. It's I mean, he is trying, he is battling hard, but it's a bit of a numbers game. I mean, the army supply for Pezz is pretty good, and these are nice units too. It's not just cheap Zealots.
Yeah, I mean,
and there it is.
Sick damage. Yeah, there's that GG. Pezz gets game number 1 against Crimson.
Very nice.
Nicely done.
Very good. Pezz looking pretty strong. I like the 2 Stargate strat. That's definitely not how I would have expected him to open the first match. But boy, did it pay off.
Yeah, certainly. Double Stargate just... It was weird because I was pretty sure that Crimson had an Overlord over the Stargates, but it also felt like he didn't see it. Like the... I mean, that said, though, when you see those double Stargates at that point, when they're all reducing a big ball of Phoenixes, what's your response? Like, he was already just producing a bunch of Queens. He already had Spore Crawlers. So, you know, do you emergency, you know, grab your ankles, bend over, and make as many Spore Crawlers as possible, or what's your reaction when you see like, oh god, Phoenixes, and you don't expect them? Do you just
way more spores?
Spore Crawlers?
Way more, and because I mean, Queens take a minute, and a lot of the time you kind of have to sit them next to your spores anyway, and when they sort of fly in like that and surprise you, especially if you're not quite like, it's okay if like 2 or 3 fly in and you're like, oh dang it, but when like 6 or 7 fly in, you're like, oh my god. And you know, we saw Crimson immediately drop down extra spores in the mineral lines and try and get something happening there, but yeah, it's just a tough defense. Even having to waddle the queens over to the base that's being attacked, you know, takes time, and that time you lose drones, they can get picked off on the way. So yeah, it's one of those things that really snowballs out of control.
Certainly does. I mean, we just saw it go pretty wrong there. I mean, there is ways to come back, of course. I think that the Nidus is a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe if the roaches came up a little bit later, like if he didn't, because he was pressuring the front with like 6 or 8 roaches or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Before the Nidus worm got dropped, he was pressuring the front with those roaches. Felt like if they were inside the worm instead, maybe that would have looked a little bit better. Because also Pezz maybe have caught unawares. If you put that Nidus worm, I mean, I could see the mind of Crimson ticking. Like what he really wanted to do was get that Nidus worm down behind the wall, right? So that's really when you want to get it right up in the natural nexus or in the main base. With those Phoenixes, you can't really use Overlords for spotting because the Phoenixes will just pick it off. But maybe just getting that Nidus worm out of vision of Pezz, not showing him where the worm is, and the first he hears of it is just the scream of that of Shai Halud. I think that would have been a little bit better there. Oops, I'm not joining the lobby. Now I'm the one holding things up.
Wow, unacceptable.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird execution. I kind of wonder if he just got a little bit brave, because when he first arrived at that front door, there was like, what, a couple of zealots and adepts, and when you have like 10 to 12 roaches or whatever, you're like, oh, sick, I could maybe just punch through here. But he kind of ended up getting caught because it bought time for the Phoenixes to come back. But anyway, hopefully he can put that game behind him and have a better time in game number 2, which we are now loading into.
That's right. These guys are absolute monsters. Pezz has been on the rise a little bit. Pezz and a lot of the SYF guys have been playing a ton of Dota as well. They're always talking about it. That's how they train. That's right. It's what I'm told, is that how they look in game is sort of like equal to how much Dota they're playing at the moment, in sort of the opposite side. So the more they play, the better they are at StarCraft, which is weird. In the top left here, currently down in the series, but we believe in him because he was a monster in that ANZ Pro League. This is Mr. SYF's Crimson, hailing from New Zealand.
And his opponent in the bottom right, in the best color in the world, purple, it is Pezz.
It is the best color in the world. It's regal.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. You might notice that Zepph is also dressed just like Pezz right now. She's got purple everywhere. She's equipped the purple skin onto her structure and has cranked up that color intensity to 11.
That's it. And Pezz just heading out here for his usual probe scout. This will really just give him confirmation that Crimson hasn't gone for a super early pull or anything. Obviously the hatch timing already indicates that, but yeah, Crimson not too much of a cheesy guy in the early game by any means. A far cry from someone like me and Micah, who goes hyper aggressive.
Yeah, oh god. See, I saw a bracket in I saw Group A and I was like, oh, Mia Micah, the Maru Slayer, surely is not afraid to see them. Apparently he is. Apparently those Maru slaying strats, the double Hydralisk, double upgrade timing attack that me and Micah did. Oh, what a madman! Did you see the game against Maru? Yeah, did you see those games? Me and Micah
saw one of them
against Maru. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went for a double Hydroden.
Yeah.
one timing attack. What a god!
You know,
it's a shame he didn't make it out of Group A, but yeah.
I feel like it's not the first time I've seen him do that too. I think when he first came out on the scene, he did something like that, and because I feel like I was casting it going like, is that a mistake? Who makes 2 Hydrodens? But then he made a thing out of it, and I was like, okay, I guess he's secretly a genius.
Wow. He didn't get justice against either, but at least he got out of Group A, and he's going to be in the next stage of the tournament, so we get to see more madness from him. We are seeing a Stargate build here from Pezz. It's about as not mad as it gets. Super stock standard here for the Protoss.
Yeah.
Crimson going for the 2.5-minute hatchery. It's pretty interesting. I think a lot of Zergs, are sort of up with the current meta, really like that delayed speed but faster third sort of build for Zerg, where you get the third up at like 1 minute and 55. It's like really early. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. I mean, against Protoss, like what's really going to come at you that early? Like a Stargate isn't going to deny a third.
That's right.
And otherwise, it's like even the Robo opening, it's pretty chill. They make an Immortal and they sit it at home for a minute. They make an Observer, they scout. before they get the warp prism, but that doesn't hit for a little while. So
Yeah. Well, that's just
yeah,
it. It makes a ton of sense. What do you need speed for?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
the adepts, sure, there might be a problem, but you just get the queen to drop a creep shimmer with her first bit of energy, and you use her and a bunch of slow links to defend. I mean, this adept is actually finding a little bit of drone damage here. The queen took a little bit to get on top of her, but the adept does get taken down and actually doesn't get too many drone kills, so it's actually not worth it for Pezz.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of highlighted your point. Like, the adept is the riskiest thing for the Zerg, and he got a grand total of 1 kill. And that was more because Crimson just wasn't quite in the right spot to handle it. So, yeah, good start. Unfortunately, a little bit supply blocked for the moment, so he's got 3 overlords about to pop. But already starting to get some spores down to defend against these A units.
The game where you have to macro a lot.
Yeah. That's all that game is, man. Macro.
That's it, just macro. Certainly no unit control on that one. You know what's really fun about Dota? How you don't get to play the game because your unit is stunned for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, my favorite part is getting yelled at because I'm bad.
Oh, I love Russians swearing at me in Russian as well. That's my favorite way to game. if I'm playing a game and a Russian isn't yelling horrible obscenities at me, then it just doesn't feel like I'm actually playing an esport, you know? It feels like I'm playing a dead game, not a vibrant and lovely video game like StarCraft 2. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You picking up when I put it down?
Yeah, I am. I had much the same experience with League of Legends. If a 12-year-old isn't raging at me, like, am I even alive? If a 12-year-old isn't
screeching at you for not getting for taking his like XP from last hit or whatever, I don't know terminology.
Hey man, no last hitting in that game. That's too hard.
Oh, that's right. Dota's the one with the last hitting.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're yelling at you for not laning properly or because you took top or whatever. Like.
Yeah, probably.
So, all right, Mom. I'm gonna Facebook message your mother and tell you what you're like when you play video games.
That's the most old nerd response to anything.
Yeah, dude. That's when you're 30 and you play video games and a 12 is styling on you in your video game. That's how you get back in them, man. You message their mom. These oracles starting to pack on a little bit more damage here. Drone kills getting up there in the nearly half a dozen. Whew, that stings. Up, oh, loses that oracle though. Nearly loses the Phoenix as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, much better of a defense for Crimson this game. He has lost 14 workers throughout this though, so his drone count a little bit slower to get up to that 65 or so that we usually see Zergs sitting at on that 3 base. Not ideal, but you know, his crease spread's not looking too bad. I think the worry is what's coming next from Pezz. He hasn't seen this big swallow gateways. He might be able to deduce from the timing of the 3rd and the tech that he has seen what's coming.
This is interesting.
But yeah.
The hell muffins.
That's it.
I don't hate it.
These make me really nervous, though.
Yeah, I mean, they only get to be useful like every wave or so. I keep forgetting what the actual cooldown is, but it feels like at least half a minute.
Dude,
like the locust cooldown is pretty
and you're
sick.
trying to defend, it feels like 10 years.
That's right, 10-year cooldown on the locust.
Yeah.
I would like the swarm host a lot more if they had a 10-year cooldown, to be honest.
I'm sure you would.
But this is actually like it's kind of a two-sided blade here. This seems very strong against what Pezz has. But it's also a unit that's only useful once every 10 years, like Zepph said. So, nice force fields, catching a few roaches. His Stalker's doing a lot of damage to those roaches.
Good. Okay, this is a pretty good spot. If you can start sliding the locusts out at them away from your bases, things go a lot better for you. The bit that makes me nervous is when the Protoss gets right up into the Zerg territory and suddenly the Zerg is stuck defending with these kind of useless swarm hosts that aren't popping down locusts for him. But in this case, Crimson sort of brought the fight to him, caused him to pull right back away from the Locust, and that buys him a bit more time. He's supply blocked, though, and he's just had to make 5 Overlords worth of supply. Oh, man,
yeah. He's having macro issues, young Crimson. Having a bit of a rough game here, and Pezz is starting to shoot ahead. You know, he's got a +2 attack on the way here for his ground army. I dislike how late charge is. I think he missed charge. You don't warp in 6 slow zealots to a main base of a Zerg. Like, this is just him forgetting charge, I think, or getting blink a little bit too early. But
This is a
look at this
sticky
Bleak Stalkers, man.
situation. Yeah.
He's already doing tons of damage.
That third base is going to die. That Locust Wave might be enough to pick off some of those heavier gas units. If he focuses the sentries, that'll be great. He is going to get a few of them. Looks like he's cleaned up what was in the main as well, and this will get pushed back, but certainly not ideal losing the third base there. Only lost an extra couple of workers, though.
Yeah, I mean, his drone count's all right, but he must be pretty oversaturated here because he's only got 2 bases. Like, one of these bases must be pretty oversaturated. Trying to chase that Immortal off creep. I don't think this is going to go well for Crimson. Like, yeah, he does have a good chunk of army supply, but a lot of it's not here in this battle. Getting a little bit closer. Does pick off the Immortal.
Nice.
All right, all right.
Yeah, if he can keep him away from this spot and, like, push him back, get rid of this Warp Prism, he can actually transfer drones over to that fourth base. In fact, he's actually already done that, but now it's under threat by the reinforcements, and he sent the Swarm Host to kill the other base, and this is getting a little bit crazy now.
Yeah, this is getting crazy. The bad thing is that Crimson actually doesn't have a spawning pool right now, so he can't make like Spine Crawlers, Queens, or Zerglings. And Zerglings are great against a big ball of Stalkers. Oh, he lost his main base. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Ah, Swarm Host, please.
Where are you going, guys?
Oh, my God. It's so painful watching an Oracle slowly tickle those to death.
Yeah. Oh, they'll be juiced up by their sisters here in a second. Or their mums, I should say.
All right. That's going to buy him a little bit of time away from the Protoss army, but Pezz is in like 3 spots at once, and Crimson just doesn't really have enough stuff to deal with it. His spawning pool's still halfway done. He's trying to build 2 more hatcheries. Oh, that actually went really well for him.
Yeah, that went really well for Crimson, actually. Crimson is still like double the army supply right now of Pezz. He's just holding that R button. He somehow is getting lava from somewhere to make an army. I don't know where, because it feels like he doesn't have a hatchery at the moment.
Yeah, he's struggling to hold on to him, that's for sure. Another one dying from Pezz. Pezz is just doing a fantastic job at clearing up these bases and keeping the pressure on Crimson. He's really not getting a lot of time to recover. He's not really got any minerals left either, just a ton of gas.
Jeez, what devastating damage from both players, honestly. Like, even though Crimson only killed the third, that's the third. Like, Protoss has been trying to power on 2 bases here with 62 workers. I mean, Zerg still has a scary army. A lot of it is inflated by these Swarm Hosts, though.
Oh, where are they going? Head home.
Oh, those Locusts are getting the third base.
No, the Swarm Hosts that were marching across towards the Archons are scaring me a little bit there. The Immortal in the main base chipping away at the hatchery once again, and Immortal out here in the middle of nowhere is going to get picked off. It looks like the Queens have arrived in the main to get rid of that other Immortal. But still, a few Zealots at the third base. Oh
my God. This game is... this is a dumpster fire for both players. This is like this is a Chaos StarCraft game, and this is where the Chaos control comes out. You just sort of be like, am I a player that can handle these stressful, chaotic situations? Can I make the correct decisions and end this game? It's so tough because like a lot of players know what to do if the game is standard and the player does the thing they're supposed to do. But when you're in a game like this is when the mad scientists with their lab coats and their like beakers pouring random colored things into other beakers. This is when they shine.
Well, I mean, if he can get rid of these bulky units, Pezz is in a bit of trouble. He's got a lot of probes, but nowhere to mine with them. And the army supply is actually quite in favor of Crimson, but that is mostly Swarm Hosts. So it really depends how much value he can squeeze out of those units.
Yeah. Oh, this Oracle's finally out of juice, so that's not going to tickle beam anything to death at the moment, but it is sort of just a free scouting unit. Can just park on top of this Swarm Host and check these out. Pezz starts the third again for the second time here. Crimson's done a great job at denying it. Crimson has not been re-droning. He's just been making units, so he's essentially going all in. So losing units really does sting for Crimson because he's up in army supply, but again, those are inflated numbers because of these Swarm Hosts. It's 3 supply per Swarm Host. 2 supply per Roach, 3 supply per Ravager. Ooh, that's not actually a massive army. Getting that Immortal, though. Nice pickoff. Oh, an Archon as well? Damn. That's stuff that Pezz can't replenish, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the trades that Crimson needs. He's held on well. I actually thought he was going to tap out for a little bit there because there's just so much going on. Unfortunately, going to lose these couple of Queens, but Crimson swooping in, looking to pick off anything that he can here. Unfortunately, not going to find any of the money units, maybe just a couple of zealots, but he's sliding in with those swarm hosts again from behind, actually.
Yeah.
He's going to
What
want
up,
to pop
Tiger?
those. There we go.
Oh, actually, I love this from Crimson. A flank with a Locust on the right-hand side, the Road Ravager on the left. He's got Pezz and a Zerg sandwich, and Pezz hates how it tastes.
Uh-oh.
Getting annihilated.
Uh-oh, that's all of Pezz's army. There's nothing left here. Even the zealots being warped into the natural were blocked by the extra locusts. Last immortal goes down, and it looks like Crimson might have just done it. It's just this one Void Ray he can't deal with.
Actually, he has zero answer for this Void Ray, so I love the Void Ray from Pezz, but the problem is, it's going to take him a while to cut through all these Zerg units, and it is not going to take long for Crimson to do tons of damage to the economy of Pezz. He kills the Void Ray with a Corrosive Bile! Oh no, Pezz needed that Void Ray like he needed it along! GG! Crimson ties it up. What a game too. That game was an absolute dumpster fire. But but like I said, in chaotic situations like that, when it becomes Chaos StarCraft, when it's Star Chaos 2 instead of StarCraft 2, the player that makes all the right decisions and the player that makes the big brain plays is the one that comes out on top. And Crimson with his Swarm Hosts managing to find some pretty clutch damage. Very nicely done.
Yeah, man, that really paid off for him, and I'm regretting saying, like, I don't know, man, like, swarm hosts make me nervous. And, like, they do when you're facing a push, but he used those brilliantly, and the important thing is he kept them alive. I feel like quite often players lose them, whether they're just neglectful or they just got caught out, warp prism with a couple of mortals drops nearby, and you just lose a whole bunch of them before you can even react. That really won him the game there. Very, very well fought.
Yeah, sick game. Good times. I enjoyed it. Oh, man. We're just gearing up for game number 3 here. Crimson managing to pull a rabbit out of the hat while balancing upside down on a tightrope.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to process how he actually won that video game, Zepph.
Yeah, I was having trouble keeping up on everything that was happening there. I mean, credit to Pezz as well. Like, that was a solid few minutes of pressure where he was just hitting Crimson at all bases at all times. And that's what makes him such a scary player. So this can still go either way on King's Cove for map number 3. No idea who's going to take it, but the winner is going to be going up against Demi in the winner's match, don't forget. Oh, yeah, that is a monstrous Zerg. It's like, congratulations, he is the strongest player in this bracket. So, actually, I mean, there could be arguments for say, Crimson or Pezz being a very, very strong player and in shape, but it feels like with Game 1 and Game 2, Demilove, I mean, yes, he was against Pig, who is very likely, not a close opponent for anyone in this bracket. He's lower ranked than a lot of these guys. But Demilove looks so clean in his series. It's hard to consider anyone else on, the overdog, I guess, so the underdog. In the bottom right here, winning Game 1, losing Game 2. Can he win Game 3? This is TTSYF's Pezz. And his teammate in the top left with some Swarm Host magic. He is Crimson. Ben, Uncle Ben, as he's affectionately known to the Oceanic StarCraft community, was an absolute monster in Pro League. What was his record? Like, oh man, 12-1 or something, 13-1. No, it was bigger than that. It was like spreadsheet, dude. That's right. Zeph's got the these guys. Let me see if I can find that while we get started here. But yeah, he had an insane record. I think he almost went undefeated in 2 seasons. Let's see. He has 11 wins, 2 losses, but that used to be 11-0, pretty sure. And that's across 3 seasons, by the way. Yeah, so there's the best of ones in Pro League. If you guys out there know Pro League format, it's the exact same thing, just filled with Australian, New Zealander, and Indian players. Oh, and also Singaporean and Vietnamese. Yeah, he has the best record out of any player in the whole Pro League. So, yeah, definitely a scary guy. Absolutely. Oh, we got a little bit of a worker dance here in the early stages of the game. Nothing to worry about. If he kills a drone, then that's the ultimate shame. Yeah.
But,
This is one of
he
the
does-
only Protosses that I still see consistently tickle people's drones too.
Yeah. Well, not everyone has the multitask for it. Like you see these like really good international Protosses, like say your Neebs or your Showtimes or whatever. They will actually have their probe harassing your drone and denying a worker patch, like a patch of minerals, for like minutes. It's
Yeah.
it's stupid. The first probe, like I feel you guys because I'm a Terran player and I have to worry about my low ground CC getting tickled as well by those probes, losing my SCV and stuff. I feel you. I feel you guys. That first probe from every Protoss is an absolute jerk.
Yeah.
Locks hatcheries, makes pylons, sometimes even cannons. Are you kidding me?
Uh, you know, I am glad that there's a little less cannon rushing happening lately.
Probe actually cannon rushed Lambo. Yes, spring.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He did it in game
But
3.
I feel like for a while there, it was like every game. I mean, thanks to Haas a lot, and there were a lot of
Yeah,
Haas
thanks,
games
Haas.
at the time. But
On you, mate.
I'm definitely not feeling it as much as before. That's just me having a whine as a player. To watch, it's still pretty fun. You kind of feel the player's pain, though, the one that's on the receiving end. But yeah, tough times. But we've actually got a bit of a switch up here from Pezz this time round. He's been favoring the Stargate, but this game he has decided to go for the Robo. And the follow-up is actually not what I expected either.
Yeah, certainly. Link's getting a nice scout off in the main base, seeing that Robo, seeing the Immortal as well, so he knows, oh, with his Dark Shrine, it's like absolute information.
Nice.
These Zerglings, 007 and 006 over here, getting all the information for Crimson. He knows exactly what he's up against. He already had a Roach Warren on the way anyway, which is exactly what you want. Might seem counterintuitive to have that against the Immortal, but the main thing that he's afraid of here is not the Immortal, it's the Archons and the Warp Prism.
Yep.
But there is no Warp Prism. Or is there? Oh, there is.
No. Oh, yeah, sorry.
There it is, right there.
I was like, huh, there isn't one in the production tab. But yeah, he's already popped it out. He's 3 steps ahead of us. And there's those extra gateways coming up as well, so that he has a little bit more warp in power.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much damage this can actually do. Crimson's already going to start churning out a few roaches, getting that roach speed as well. Just because you know it's coming doesn't mean that it's shut down, of course, because Archons do a lot of damage. You still got to sort of chase that Warp Prism around because it can slip behind the third, jump into the main, kind of bounce between those spots. So let's see how he goes. He's already positioning the roaches in advance to help defend against that.
Yeah, certainly. And those DTs coming on in here. And they're just going in straight Cloaked Boy here. Vanilla Cloaky Boy looking for some damage. Trying to catch Crimson without detection here and there. Crimson actually, he scouted the Dark Shrine, but he actually has no Spore Crawlers, amazingly enough. Which is... he has an Overseer with his army, so he's trying to cut corners here, but that is going to cost him some drones here.
Yeah. I'm always a fan of getting the spores for this exact reason. He's already lost 7 drones.
You just get spores. Like, it's not worth the 1 or 2 drones to lose, like, half a dozen or 3 or 4. You know?
Yeah. It's an
Crimson's
understandable
lost 10
decision,
drones here.
though.
That's devastating.
And yeah, he's going to lose more. There was a few drones mining at that third base, and they're just taking refuge. Now he's actually fighting with the drones because he doesn't have enough ground units to deal with this. And the micro with the Warp Prism from Pezz is brilliant. And I think Crimson actually has to pull back from here and sort of regroup for a sec. Ling's coming in makes that a little bit easier, but 25 drones have gone down. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh my god.
you say he needs to pull back and regroup. He needs to pull back and re-drone, but...
Yeah.
He's so far behind in workers now because that attack of Pezz, which is so devastatingly effective. Still no spores. But he has multiple overseers at least.
Still not done either. He's going to continue coming in here with the DTs because he goes, okay, you're not going to make spores. I'm going to make you chase me around with these DTs. And he's not going to have an easy time killing them either because the Warp Prism just picks him up, goes back into the corner where he can't reach.
Yep,
and now he's going to have to keep an eye on that and wait.
Now, you can put a Warp Prism back here, Zepph, but you know what I've learned by accident? And to my utter shock and horror, you can't fiddle Battle Cruiser back there.
Really?
I swear, Queens can tickle that thing, even tucked away in the corner.
I guess the hitbox is just that
Oh,
much
no,
bigger.
sorry. I think this one you can, but like... What's the other one? Like Port Alexander or Kairos? I get confused between the two. that corner where there's dead
Alright.
space, you can't fit your BC there. I think
Okay,
this one you
yeah.
actually can.
I was gonna say that looks pretty far back, so unless like one of the things on the ground is actually like blocking airspace, yeah, okay, that makes a little more sense. But
Yeah.
he does get out of there with that War Prism, and he's gonna head home. He's got a decent army forming here. More Immortals coming in, charges finishing up, and so is the +1. And his third base is mining, and Crimson is barely ahead on workers because he's had to sort of focus on defending. He's had to focus on redroning. And this is not the ideal position to be in when you're about to be hit by a chunky Protoss army. Oh, this is nice.
Oh, well, it caught and courted. Goodbye, Immortal. Nice catch there with his links. He does still have a Protoss army to deal with, though.
Yeah. That is but a small victory for the moment. Looks like he's really counting on the backstab to doing some damage here. Using Biles, but Pezz just punches straight through.
Yeah, I mean, these links are doing tons of damage on the other side of the map, but the actual army here in the natural kind of sucks against what Pezz has here. He's got a War Prism still to juggle those hurt units that are so important, like the Archons and the Immortals. And there are, what's that, 5 Archons here, 4 Immortals. I mean, Crimson's getting A-moved right now. There is just way too much firepower there. And GG. Pezz gets the victory. And we'll move on to face Demilove. Crimson on to face Pig. PVZs all round.
That's it. Crimson and Pig, the elimination match. Demi vs. Pezz next up on stream, though. And that is for a spot in the round of 8 for the playoff bracket. So that's an important match. The loser, of course, will have a second shot, though. They will drop down to play the winner of Crimson vs. Pig. So lots more games yet to come. And Demi vs. Pezz should be another good one.
Pretty keen to see Peg have another crack at it. Our caster brother in arms, who you're going to be seeing on stream shortly enough. I think he's actually broadcasting next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to have another look at the cast schedule there. I think so. But that is the results so far, guys. We have our winners match all ready to go. Well, actually not ready to go, but all lined up. So we need to get a lobby up and start getting the players in there. We're going to...
Yeah.
What are your predictions here, Zepph, before we go to a break?
Ooh. I really liked how Demi looked against Pig.
Me too.
I'm going to go Demi 2-1.
Yeah, I'm with you. Demi 2-1. I want to disagree, but it's hard to disagree because it's accurate. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Demi's just a little bit too strong. Pezz will have to have something up his sleeve to try and fool young Demilove. If he plays straight up, I think he's going to have a hard time. But that's me. I'm a newbie caster. I don't know what I'm talking about. So we're going to have a short break. When we come back, we're going to have another best of 3 for y'all, and we're going to get through the whole group tonight. So